Croeso I Sainsbury's. This chain of the supermarket in Cardiff has signs in Welsh and, like most other big businesses in Wales, a cash point with a Welsh language option. But they are under no legal obligation to do so. After the Welsh Language Act of 1993, public sector organisations have had to provide Welsh language services on an equal footing with English. But Cymdeithas Iaith want the Welsh Government to force private companies to do the same.
One of the main problems is how legislation doesn't cover a large amount of businesses. So we have a law that only covers mainly the public sector with a few private companies, but we think that the legislation needs to expand it to include other private sector organisations, which would almost certainly improve the use of the Welsh in the workplace in the private sector more generally.
Figures from the Welsh Language Survey this month show why Cymdeithas want change. 30% of public sector workers said they were offered something by their employer to show they spoke Welsh, compared to 10% in the private sector. And more than 3 times as many private sector workers said their employer was not supportive of Welsh in the workplace. But many businesses already use the Welsh language without legislation. The Mochyn Du by Sophia Gardens sees Welsh as important for business.
The Mochyn Du is based on the fact that we've always had Welsh speakers. All of our staff speak Welsh. Those that we've employed previously that have not spoken Welsh, we've expected them to learn enough so that they can take an order in Welsh and do a transaction in Welsh. Very important that everybody can converse and do their daily lives in Welsh.
But not every business owner uses Welsh as much as the Mochyn Du, if at all. In Porthcawl, only around 1 in 10 of the population speaks Welsh, and some businesses are concerned at talks of more legislation.
If the children of South Wales were taught more Welsh, then I think that they could bring in the legislation about that. But because, something like between 10 and 15% of South Walians speak Welsh, so there's only a small minority.
Business organisations are also concerned. In a statement to CGS News, the CBI said individual companies and their customers should decide the language in which they want to interact, not the government. And they strongly support the government's view that the private sector should be encouraged rather than compelled to use Welsh. The Welsh Language Commissioner, Mary Hughes, said she was working proactively with businesses within the private sector. But after rejection of proposals to make private companies treat Welsh the same as English 2 years ago, Welsh language campaigners may have some way to go. Rhys Williams, CGS News.